fraud, so you don't have the deed. You just came and took a house. They said, yeah, it's ours. So they send the police in to take the money out of the Bank of America till, and then Bank of America finally gives them a check. But the point is that, ladies and gentlemen, people always say, well, that's not fair, this is happening. Yeah, because a bunch of crooks are going to run you over. If you don't demand your rights and fight for them, you'll be a slave. The reason this country, that isn't perfect, by the way, has more freedom than any other nation in the history of the world is because our ancestors, for all the problems they had, would kill you if you tried to enslave them. Our ancestors were mean. I don't care what color you are, where you came from. This was a swashbuckling, rough place. And people didn't come here if they weren't rough. Okay? And people weren't putting up with jack diddly squat. And that's the only reason we've got any freedom. You better thank the Second Amendment, all you people that hate it out there. Because if we didn't have that, the government would have already moved to take everything, collectivize all farming, let 50 million of us starve to death, as they did in Russia and Ukraine and China. This is their plan. This is an exact program they're going to follow. Okay? So understand, this is a life and death situation. It doesn't get more real, as you can now see. The tanks are being delivered to every local police department. The SWAT teams are being expanded. The bullets, the armored personnel carriers, the mobile checkpoint pillboxes. The arming to the teeth against us is on. Meanwhile, they're taking people's houses all over the country if they fall behind on the income tax, mainly old people who can't pay. Oh, you went bankrupt? Oh, you lost your job? Oh, you're living in some little, two-bedroom house with 3 kids? We don't care. We're taking your home because we say 10 years ago or 5 years ago you didn't pay $500 in taxes. Now with penalties and interest, it's $35,000, $40,000. We're taking it. Meanwhile, the big banks are all exempt from it because they get paid the income tax. They set up in 1913, the year they established the Federal Reserve, the income tax. It's in the Communist Manifesto. It's paid to them. And they want to bankrupt you. They don't care if they write you so many tickets you go bankrupt. They don't care if you can't pay it. That's the plan. In fact, they want you to not be able to pay it. That's the whole program, is annihilate this country. And it's going very, very well. Very, very well. Because they're in control of the bureaucracy. It's not going well in public relations, but they don't care about that. They're there. They're holding us down. It's called being raped. We're being raped. You're like, oh, let's call Washington and let them know we don't like it. They know you don't like it. They know they have a 9% approval rating. Oh, we're getting more calls. Hire more troops. Yeah, but just checkpoints everywhere. Oh, yeah, that'll. They know they're criminal. They know you know. Let's go to calls. We'll go to Thomas, and then we'll go to others. Thomas in New York, thanks for holding her on the air. Hey, Thomas, you want to talk, or because I can hear you?
Yeah. Are you talking to me?
Buddy, we don't screen your calls. We just took you right on air, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know. I want to talk about the whole indictment. In the Congress, they got a law, inherited content, where the sergeant of the arms can arrest holder and jail him, and the Congress can prosecute him. Now, nobody's talking about this, especially in the Congress, especially our boy Bronner from Ohio there.
Yes, that was in the Washington Times last week, and it is true. In the past, they had a jail inside the Congress, and they could have somebody arrested if they were in contempt. Just like a court, if you're in there and you start flipping the judge off or, perjuring yourself, the judge can say, bailiff, arrest that man. But Congress has become so emasculated, so castrated, that they let the United Nations march in and tell them that they have no power over war or taxes. And now they've handed over taxes to the private banks through their health care. They're going to start expanding it into all sorts of other new things you've got to pay them. So, yes, a House could arrest holder with inherent contempt power. But really, they could also go to the district attorney of the District of Columbia, but the problem is that's a holder minion. The Justice Department has moved to shield him within the Justice Department from prosecution. So, I mean, these are terrorists. He shipped guns into Mexico, along with his boss Obama and others, to demonize the Second Amendment. This is a staged terror attack. that we've exposed, and that's just the end of it. They are terrorists, and I think you should take all the vaccines, though, because they care about you.
Another thing I want to say, Browner could defund Obamacare today. If he called a session, he could defund it. That'd be one step. If they
you're right. You're talking about Boner or Boehner?
Boehner, whatever his name is.
Yeah, well, the name is German. It's a nice name. It's pronounced Boner, and his whole life he even had an ad campaign saying it's Boehner, not Boner. Hey, if your name's Boner, go with it. And I'm not doing that for childlike jokes. His name is Boner. That's the name of the Speaker of the House, Boner. But you don't see Boner trying to defund it right now. He says he will, though, so put pressure on Boner. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Now it does.
All right, coming up in the next segment, I'm going to address the big power outages and the fact that government can't and won't protect you. They can only henpeck and criticize the utility companies as FEMA gets very angry with the utility companies that the power is not back on. We wave our magic wand of government and say, DU is good for troops. We wave our magic wand and say, pay Al Gore money and he make weather be nicer. Let's go talk to Jim in New Mexico. Jim, you're on the air. Welcome.
Hey, Alex, thanks for taking my call. I got one comment for you, and then I have a question about the health care bill. The criminals that are doing this, we all know that they can't do it alone and how compartmentalized everything is. And I will tell you that if you want to be privy to some info, you get your people to talk to some of these interstate truck drivers that are moving the goods between California and the American Southwest. You can find out a lot of information. They move everything in this country, from our food to military contract goods, and that's just a bit of information for you. But my question is, I've been reading this health care bill this weekend, and maybe I am not educated enough to understand it all, but especially some of these subheadings are very vague. And I want to know what you can tell me and the listeners about these RFID chips in this health care bill. And no.
It's simply saying that RFID chips in a baby's belly button when it's born, or in new pills that are coming out that have RFID in them that goes through your body, that it's going to be paid for medically. So it just basically says government. People are saying, oh my gosh, this means forced chipping. Well, no, but it leads to that because now it's saying that will be paid for. And look, that is a big part of technology. There are a lot of RFID uses, computer chip uses in the body where they're getting to where people that were blind can partially see. The technology is neutral. It's that they're always backdooring and piggybacking very draconian systems into it. And so, yes, that is in the legislation. Look, the biggest problem is Tom Daschle wrote a book and admitted death panels. And they've got technical names for them, but it is these federal boards that will decide the care you get and will cut back on the amount of procedures, tests. And everywhere they've had this, in Canada, in England, it's in the news. They don't deny that they don't give people surgeries that would save their lives and let them die. And they say stuff like, well, you've paid into taxes your whole life, but you don't get the free health care that you paid for. Again, another oxymoron, because you smoked 20 years ago. Or, you had, a sports injury, and that's elective that you played sports, so we're not going to fix your knee. I mean, this is actually happening in England. This is not my opinion. They have top doctors coming out. I mean, just last week, the headline was 130,000 old people killed. I mean, we're not talking about somebody in a coma that's under state care they unplug. I'm talking about people. See, folks don't know about how bad the evil's gotten, and I appreciate your call. They don't understand, folks, that the Wall Street Journal a decade ago had a series of articles about people who were talking but in state care and who were belted down and dehydrated to death. That's their favorite way to kill you, because they say, well, we didn't give you anything to kill you, so we just let you die. And they claim legally it's okay. It takes like 14 days generally. You start bleeding out your eyes and nose and mouth, and the membranes all shrivel up down to core organs. I mean, it is a hellish way to be killed. And that's how they like to murder people. I could open the phones up right now and have it filled with hospital workers and nursing home workers going, there's a woman in bed A7 right now. You want to go in there? And you go in there and the woman's like, yeah, oh, yeah. That actually happened once. I mean, they're actually in there killing them. And they're like, oh, no, they're killing him right here at the hospital right now. The average American listening's like, oh, yeah, right. Okay, you'll find out. Caleb in Texas, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Thank you for taking my call, Mr. Jones. I'm a first-time caller and a relatively new listener. I just had a quick question, kind of about the broad overview of some of the things you say. Why, I see a lot of your info warriors online posting different articles and links in. They always link to YouTube. And why, if there's a New World Order, why would that, controls media and the corporations and big business, why would they allow these YouTube videos when it would just be too easy to delete them?
Well, there's such a problem with what you say, because you say, if there was a New World Order, I'm going to put you on hold and come back to you, and then I'm going to get into the whole power outage situation. And what that illustrates about government, but that's such an amazing statement. The open world corporate government is now public. I know the media said it didn't exist while they were getting it ready so they'd get the jump on you. But it's now admitted. They now admit they want to start censoring. See, we're not there yet. All right, I'm going to finish up with this caller, go through a ton of news, including the ongoing aftermath of the blackouts in many areas of the East into areas of the central eastern area of the United States and the floundering that is taking place there. But responding to the caller, Caleb in Texas, who I'm going to go back to here in just a moment, and I'm not trying to be condescending or mean to him because he asked the question politely, and I shouldn't get irritated. But this is what happens throughout history. People say, well, where's the proof of the tyranny? I mean, if we had this incredible New World Order, you wouldn't be allowed to be on air. Or how are you able to put up YouTube videos if this New World Order is so big and bad and powerful? Well, Google has helped work with the Chinese government to censor their population. Microsoft has done it even more. And some of the other big technology companies. So the point is they know how to do it. And even congressional hearings have had to admit, and the Electronic Frontier Foundation and even CNET, and that's CBS, have all come out and said the cybersecurity legislation will end freedom as we know it, allow the tracking and taxing of the web, internet IDs. The feds have been raiding hundreds of thousands of website server domains and taking them without even court orders in some cases and turning them off, even if you just have message boards on your site that link to where people might be able to find pirated music or movies or things like that. So even mainline universities don't deny that the entire Western world is accelerating into authoritarianism. The Rand Corporation 20 years ago, 18 years ago, 15 years ago, because I've read the reports on air, you can look them up, said they would move into an authoritarian system.